We welcome you once, we welcome you twice, we welcome you in the name of Jesus Christ to the Word and Conversation podcast with me, John, Treese, Trisha, and as we go about it, it is friend, dude, and love. Okay, thank you guys for joining us on tonight. We are excited to be here on tonight. This is part two of our podcast, part two of the series. What are we calling this? I forgot what we called this.
Word of Conversation, wasn't it?
No, that's the podcast. I'm talking about the episode. What do we call the episode?
Shoot.
What was it? Did we call the episode something? I had it in my phone.
Episode 5?
She said episode 5.
No.
It is episode 5, but I forgot. I titled it
Yes, you did.
Like, relationship, love. I don't know. I forgot. Anyway, this is part 2. You remember on, it was like last week we did a podcast and we discussed relationships. We discussed marriage. I enjoyed that podcast a lot. I enjoyed that episode a lot. So we're back to kind of finish it off. Trisha started going and she started to feel it. My honey started to feel it a little bit. She started to ask the question that we're going to talk about and discuss on tonight. She was just started to ask the question. You remember? Or do I need to assist you? Because you said you asked me to.
I said last time I wasn't going to remember when you stopped me.
I was going to ask, do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. So we discussed our marriages. We discussed how we met. We discussed the relationships. And we just started to discuss kind of that growing process and the things that we were going through, those struggles that we developed in our relationships, where we had our falling outs and where we fell short and all those type of things. We also discussed Treese, John, dude, hitting friend, which was hilarious. He didn't hit friend, but I went back and looked at that. When I tell you this room erupted from that comment, it was so good.
I went back and looked at
that was pretty good. That part was good. That part was good. I thought that was really good. But we won't be before you too long on tonight. As it's Friday night, this is also our date night.
Yeah.
Friday night date night. Friday night date night. So we're spending it with you guys on this week, and so we're excited about that. But we started to discuss. Trisha began to ask the question about what are we doing now to, like, what are the lessons, what are the methods, what are the things that we use now that we've learned to get through our get through those struggles. 'Cause I think we both start saying that we don't argue as much anymore.
I don't think it was about now. I think because we were sharing our stories, and so when we were sharing our stories, we were talking about how they were, we were in different places, and then how coming from those different places, how do we get to this space that we're in now? Okay. Because I think that.
I thought you remember.
Well, when you started talking and recapping, hence the fact there's always a summary. And so when we started talking about that, then it was like, okay, well, here we were all in different spaces and places. And because we started talking about being equally yoked. And then that's how it got to, well, what was it that we were doing to get better and keep going in our marriage? We both have been married for years.
Right.
So, like, how did we get to this space?
Y'all remember some of the things that y'all got to get to this space?
Like a test.
Right? That's what it sounded like.
I was wondering.
Nathan said it sounded like a test.
I was trying to see if y'all
remember.
Do y'all remember? I was wondering. I was pulling up. So I'm pulling up. I started thinking about it. Well, I'm glad you said that. Because I started looking at that scripture about being unequally yoked, and I wanted to kind of go back to that real quick, just real quick. And as I was looking at that scripture talking about unequally yoked, and I wanted to kind of give clarity just in case somebody was watching and was like unsure of kind of like what we were talking about. We brought a different perspective about it, about being unequally yoked, like I said. But the scripture is talking about, when it talks about don't be unequally yoked, being those who are non-believers and those who are believers in God, right? And so I wanted to kind of point that out and like point out those words exactly, because a lot of people will think like there are those that not go to church and you can't be with those who don't go to church. Okay. And they'll be like, no, there are so many people that don't go to church or have been church hurt or whatever the case may be. But yet they are still believers in God. Or there was those who are believers in God and haven't really developed a relationship or didn't come up in a home that really started to establish the relationship. Right. So I wanted to kind of put that out there when I was going back and read that scripture, just kind of give that clarity. Okay. And so with our relationships, as we think about just those aspects of it, we begin to grow especially in our relationships. We begin to grow so much, and but when that understanding process and that understanding and getting that foundation. Because again, I'm gonna go back to that point, fact that we don't argue as much as we used to. We disagree, and we find a way to settle those disagreements. We found in that process of growth on how to take that next step and how to. We were just saying before we start how to give, forgive, and give in. And it's a lot of times to where it's a tug and a pull on all those different things, on those three aspects. And so I know with us, we find a play. Why are you looking at me like that? I ain't even said nothing yet. I ain't even said nothing. Why are you looking at me like that?
Go ahead, sir.
I know with us, we can disagree because we actually had I don't know if we had a disagreement before we started this. I don't know if it was a disagreement. Trish was hungry, and we were talking about getting something to eat, and my honey was frustrated. Not with anything that I did, but she was frustrated because she was hungry, and she hadn't decided what she wanted to eat yet. And then I was telling her it didn't matter what she wanted to eat so we think totally different. And I think that's something else you got to think about also. It's another aspect in your men, women, and you got to take that into consideration while you're in the middle of your disagreement.
Okay.
You have to say, and that helps not get to an argument because we think totally different. Mm-hmm. Because Trisha was like, "I'm hungry." And I was like, okay, like pick out what you want to eat. Because in my brain, the way I'm thinking is, when you pick what you want to eat, we'll do that. Because I can eat whatever. Mm-hmm. Guys can eat whatever. As long as whatever you want to eat, my love, we can eat. And Trisha was like, I've been picking the food all week long. Because she cooked on Monday and Tuesday. And then she picked up food. She was already out. And she picked up food. I see. I didn't mean to do that. You had an inverting reaction, and I wasn't even a go for me. Like I didn't say. I'm just like I said. This is the way we think. This is the way I think. So my honey was out, and so she went and got barbecue on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. And so in my mind, when she said I've been picking food all week long, I'm like, you cook Monday and Tuesday, but you like pick food all week long, like I wasn't dependent on you to pick the item. You just did it, and it was like, we're cool. And so when she went to barbecue, she went to go see her grandmother. And so this is what I'm thinking. Would you stop making faces?
Faces.
Just faces. As I'm talking, I'm just giving an example.
Y'all, I need to close my eyes.
Don't close your eyes. Talk.
Come on.
Look at me.
No, come on. Tell the word.
Anyway, so what we're doing, and so I told her, I said, I depended on you because you went out to go see your grandmother, and then you got food while you was out there, mm-hmm. and that's what you wanted when you got out there. Like, cool, that's what you wanted, so cool, I'll eat whatever you want. And so we got into a disagreement because Trish was like, talking to you just makes my brain hurt. She was like, because we think totally different. Because we do that often. We do that a lot, and we start to realize.
I was just about to ask, how often?
Often, when it comes to food, it's all the time. It's all the time. Because we think totally different. Mm-hmm. Because Trisha wants me to pick. Oh, you know what? You tell me. You tell me how you supposed to. You think.
This is a part of the forgive, and all the things.
What you be doing?
When you be giving? No. When you tell me how I feel, and I can't stand it. Don't tell me what I'm thinking and how I feel. Don't speak for me.
Oh my God.
I have a mind of my own, and I really know how to speak.
And in my mind, I'm not telling her how she feels.
This is how you perceive.
That's how I perceive it.
And I get that. But
ladies say, I even know that one.
So, what were you saying?
I was talking about how we have this disagreement a lot over food because you have a different mentality
no.
So, of how this process of eating is supposed to go.
No. It's not a process of eating. The process is I get overwhelmed with my mental capacity. Mm-hmm. I am making decisions all day. I make decisions on my job because of the type of job I have. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm managing other people, other things, and all the time I have to make decisions all day. While I am also managing a professional career, right, that is mid-management, all the things, I am also constantly found this kid, the house, the everything. calling you, texting you, what's going on? Can you pick up? Can you go? When it comes to food, that's the last decision I feel like making because I want to not to make a decision. I'm done. I'm tapped out. So when I come to you and say, hey, it's because I don't have another decision. Now, I have tried to get better at saying what I absolutely don't want to eat. Like if it's just something that I just don't want, like I will do that and say, hey, but I'd rather not it be XYZ.
I'm telling you, like that's far in between. I'm gonna put that out there.
That's fine.
It's far in
but
between.
I said I'm trying, or I have tried to get better. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take away the fact that I don't want to make another decision. And so we actually had a huge, like, oh my God, this was 2 months ago or so.
I want to say like a month ago.
And so we were on our way to drop Aiden off.
And we never got, I don't think we ever yelled or got truly angry.
No.
Yeah.
We were on our way to drop Aiden off at the gym.
Okay.
It's crazy.
And so,
it's so crazy.
I'm hungry. He's hungry. And he's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't own a decision, right? Because it had been a long day. It was a lot going on. I don't own a decision. So he kept saying, just tell me what you want to eat. Or tell me where you want to go. And then I'll pick from there. It's still a decision. I'm confused at what you're saying. So then he was like, what do you want to eat? Sir, I just said I don't own a decision. I literally just want to sit in this car. And wherever you show up is where you show up.
But then but then during that, I also asked her. Then I got to the point. I said, "Well, what don't you want to eat?"
Which we just talked about.
And then she responded with, "I don't want to make a decision."
No.
That's the decision.
No. I told you what I did not want to eat. I told you what I did not want to eat because you had brought up a couple suggestions, and one or two of them I said no.
Okay.
I told you I did not want to eat that. So then he was like, "Well, okay. Do you want me to go to Saltgrass? If you go to Saltgrass, go to Saltgrass." I didn't say I didn't want to eat Saltgrass. If you pull up at Saltgrass, I know how to eat at Saltgrass. Do you want Saltgrass? Are you going to Saltgrass? If you go to Saltgrass, pull up at Saltgrass. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. So we kept going. We kept going. We're going tit for tat.
Because now I got to prove my point too.
We're going tit for tat.
That's why we're going back and forth. I'm like, I got to prove my thinking. My thinking is better. My logic is better.
And he kept saying that. He kept saying the way you think. And so now I'm getting irritated because you just state you don't understand. You don't understand that when you own and hold a lot of the decision, like it is we talk about this. We've already talked about this before. We talked about this when we both are ministered. We got a lot of kids. It's a lot of us at the house. It is a lot for one person to own 6 people. They schedules, they to-do.
I got it too.
They schedules, they to-do, they all the things. That is a lie.
Like you a single parent.
I was just about
I didn't say single parent. But when
single parent,
I didn't say
I'm an absentee father.
I didn't say
I can't believe you do that to me.
Where's I'm absentee father?
But you do not hold most of the business. I still have to tell you to make that phone call, to check in with that kid, to go back and do, because that is what's running through my brain all day long and make sure everybody's good. At the end of the day, we went tit for tat. We ended the conversation still not understanding each other. And was just like, okay, fine. So then the next day, I called my best friend. So I'm on the phone with Aaliyah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm on the phone with Aaliyah, which me and my best friend call each other whenever
How do you call?
We need to vent. I'm just like, okay.
Let me call somebody who's going to agree with me.
Wait, that is not true because Aaliyah is more like you and Trees.
But she's a woman.
No. And so me and Aaliyah are on the phone. And we're talking about this. And I said, so Sissy, your brother did XYZ. And I didn't even get out what was wrong or like what my point was. And she went, that's a decision. Thank you. Can you please let your brother know it was a decision? Because all I was saying was I didn't want to make a decision.
So then I told her. That's what we were going back and forth about, because she kept saying she didn't want to make a decision. And so my logical brain, because I'm a man, and maybe
see, there you go.
I don't know, like I said, because we think I said man. I put emphasis on man because I think differently. I was like, we got to pick somewhere to eat, because once we pick somewhere to eat, you have to make a decision on what you want to eat. A decision is, dude, am I right? A decision is a decision.
At the end of the
Like,
day, it's not necessarily true, because you know what I eat at Sawgrass. It's not like I eat random things. When we go to Sawgrass, I only eat one thing.
And okay, so
if you pull up at Sawgrass,
it's not one thing. You got like 2, 3
order.
things. You got 2, 3 things that you
okay,
can
well now you have 2 or 3 orders that you could have ordered.
I need somebody to comment in the chat if you go through this same thing.
Yeah, I mean every dude does. Every guy goes through this.
So are you saying you go through this?
No. I'm just, no.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No, what I'm saying is,
Oh, that's cool.
now in the beginning,
So we need more years.
it was one of them things where you be like, what you want to eat? I don't know. What you want to eat? I don't know. And then we riding. It's getting later.
Dog,
We're getting close to the
that's
house.
so annoying.
By this time you home, you got a headache, and you're aggravated in the beginning. But now,
You go through that?
they say, man, me and Tree be like, she like, what you want to eat? I have no idea. And you know that favorite go to? It could be hot dog all I care.
Yeah, I
See.
can't say that we're basically simple or whatever, but I can't say that we've had like, you know,
Not a knockdown drag.
right?
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want that, or whatever. But I understand, friend, on your part, because I know my friend here, and so I know that if when you pick out something, her response, she's gonna tell you whether or not she wants it or not, and I know you're trying not to have that. It's just whatever you want, I'm good with it, and that's what he's trying. He's just like, I don't want to pick something, knowing that you're gonna be like, I don't want that.
But
Right.
I'm gonna tell you I don't want that.
But he doesn't want that.
Right.
He's trying not to go
we
there.
can narrow it down.
You want to know how I honestly feel? You want to
No.
You don't know because we lie.
I don't know. Go for it.
Okay. You want to know how I honestly feel?
Yes.
We don't even have to have this conversation. If it wasn't that, don't rely on me to feed everybody every day. Don't rely on me to go to the grocery store. Don't rely on me to wait to see if I'm gonna cook, what I'm gonna cook.
Yeah.
You know how to cook. Don't rely on me to say what do we want to eat. Come in the door with food. Come, and then I have to make either I gotta eat it or I make me something else to eat. Don't rely on me to be the decision for food. Everybody in my house is no longer a little bitty child. Figure it out. Somebody else offer me the food. Somebody else walk in the door and say, hey, here's dinner. I went to pick up XYZ. Okay, either I eat it or I don't. At the end of the day, it was offered, it was provided, and it was there.
What's up? So what you about to say?
Done.
You're right. But it's funny that, but it's funny, like I said, we go through it because most of the time I make the decision for food.
You will when we say when I say
like
what we eat for dinner.
like 98% of the time, like all dinners, like we're at home together. 98% of the decisions, the entire house looks at dad
But
and be
say
like,
why.
and be like, because I can make a decision.
No. But yeah, that's what I'm about to say. So say why, because all 6 of us end up doing what?
Yeah, they all say, I don't know. It don't matter.
Or then we start arguing. We like have 2 people who say this, one person say this, one person say this, and then we agree like.
There's too many people in the house.
Absolutely.
So that's the whole issue.
It's a big issue.
Too many
It's big.
people.
And so
Too many opinions about what's
Absolutely.
what.
Entirely too
Absolutely.
And I always staple, like I'm the staple. Everybody finally just go,
Dad,
Daddy, what we
what we
eat?
eating?
And so when I get
Because
to
everybody got something
Yeah.
different.
right, and so when it's like with just me and Trisha, in my mindset, I'm like, hey, we can just solve this. Hey, you pick out which one because I can eat almost like anywhere we go, I can eat.
You are.
Like I can.
You're not as picky.
Like
as
I'm
I
not
am.
picky as like, my honey is picky. So
I know.
let's go ahead and knock out what you want. 'Cause if you pick out this spot, there's a
And
plethora.
that's why I was saying that because I know that she is picky about
About what I eat. But I think I get to that point because he also knows that he's not gonna offer up a restaurant that he knows that I don't eat
like.
from. Like we only do that at date night where it's like,
You know what? I
okay,
never thought about
let's figure out what
That's
Trisha and John gonna eat. That's because we're going for an experience.
Right.
We're going to try something out. But if it's just us two trying to figure out what we want to eat, he's not gonna suggest something he knows
that
I'm not gonna eat from.
Right.
So I think that's why I get to the point to where I'm just like, if it's a suggestion, you know there's something that I will eat.
And then too, like you were saying, with work and everything, probably at that point you just felt like I have had too much to deal with.
I'm tapped out.
Yeah,
I'm tapped out.
Yeah, so at that
I'm
point,
tapped out, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and so like you were saying, like with the years, because I can say that with us too, I feel like years have caused us only because, I mean, we've only been married, 5 years more than you all, but still in all, because I tell a lot of people, because one of my little cousins, she's about to get married, and so she had, like, put on the message board, like, what are the main things that married couples argue about, or what they, what's the main issues or whatever. So, I mean, I was telling her, and a lot of people was chiming in on what their thoughts were. Finances is a major, and then too, kids is a major. And so, if anything that we had issues with or had disagreements about, it was always either related to the kids or finances. Okay, because of course in the beginning we weren't as financially stable, as we are now, but still, and then too with the kids, school, blended households, and everything. That was always our things that we had to go at about, right? And so now I feel, because we are empty nesters now, things are a lot easier too. So you will get to that point, but then too, I mean, outside sources can cause tension in your marriages as well too. So you have to get to a point where those outside sources are not, impacting
us. No, that's good, because as you were saying that, I was thinking about that it's so what issues come about, you can point out and have a category, or you can throw out a list of things, but it all affects differently. Because it's funny, because like financial things, finances
has never been
like not been our thing. Not because we had money. I want you to get that clear right now. We did not have money, like at all. We were broke. We weren't poor. I'm telling you, if anybody hasn't heard me say this before, if your lights are on, if you have food on your table, and you have $10 in your account, you are broke. You are not poor. You are broke. And so we were broke. And so, but anytime that we were looking at the account and we saw $10, I saw like, if I saw $100 in the bank, I was like, it was two reactions that came. Trisha look at the account and be like, hey, we only have $100. I'd be like, man, we got $100. Right.
That was me.
Huh?
That was me.
Yeah, we had two different reactions. I was like, I can make this $100 spread. But like you also pointed out, like issues with our marriage was outside sources. And so outside sources was an issue in our marriage. And then and also was us trying to understand one another. And that was a big issue. Like we struggled with those two things. That was our two big things. It's letting outside sources come into the marriage, and then not taking the time to understand one another. And so as we were saying there, talking about the give, forgive, and give in, all those things that we have been talking about, especially in the relationship. I want to get back to you. Saw somebody start coming in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, you were laughing. I want to see what somebody had said.
No.
but as you look at that, but I was saying that it was that when that process, that we didn't even get that mad about it. We just had a long debate about our thinking, and at the end of the day, we weren't upset because I understood at the end of the day that's the way Trisha was going to think, and then she understood that that's the way I was going to think. Where's that middle ground that we can solve this problem and not have that big of an issue? And so that was a big thing.
I think that as we talked about our stories and as we talked about how we've gotten to these spaces of being at the number of years that we've been married, that becomes the difference, right? Because to be able to just say, you know what, you're getting on my nerves because you don't understand what I'm saying, and moving on is a difference maker in where you're not angry or holding resentment or anything. And then being honest enough to know there are things, we're all human and we're all individuals. So there are things that you do, that I do, that get under my skin, that really drive my nerves bad. But do I have a proper outlet for that, right? Because in that moment, it may not be where I'm giving in, or forgiven. I may not be in that moment.
That's good.
I can come back to it later and figure out which one I need to be in. But do I have the proper outlet for it?
Right.
So, right, I know if I call my best friend, you're not about to give me nothing crazy. That's like, you know, and he said, and da-da-da-da, girl, you better, no, I'm not going to do that. I know if I come to Latrice, she is always forever and going to give me the devil's advocate and make me roll my eyes, and I'll be like, oh, I don't want to hear that part. I just need you to be like, okay, girl. But
we hate you like that. I love playing devil's advocate.
But at the end of the day, that's why I go, because it's deep in your heart that you know that you're not looking for somebody to give you the, oh girl, walk out on him, he trash, you know, da-da-da-da. That's not what you're in. If that is what you're seeking, then maybe you're not ready for marriage, right? But in that space, like, do you have spaces and places where you can go and vent? Because in that moment, yes, we've learned in that moment, but true enough, there are still moments where we have to just get quiet. And it is what it is.
Right, because it could be a point to where, like, one word, like one more word is said. Now we really, like, we went from a debate. Now we into a knockout drag out.
Because see that's remember where he was saying about how the tongue is so powerful.
Yeah,
And what comes out,
Once it's
you
out.
can't take it back.
you can't take it back.
So I can remember times where me and Trees have a disagreement about something, whatever, and then she'd be like, I can't talk right now. Me, I'm like, hey man, you know, just tell me what. I can't talk right now.
That's so
I ain't got
crazy.
time. Yeah.
That's you and Trisha are so much alike.
Because I felt that I couldn't say what I really wanted to say.
Right.
Because of the fact that I know how he takes things.
Woo!
Yeah. And then
I feel like whenever I would say what I wanted to say and he heard it, he flips the script with it. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to get you to understand.
You gotta stop looking at me tonight.
and so
look at me with
me, my mind would be like,
Always negative.
it ain't always
He always took offense to whatever I said.
Yeah.
It was always as if I was jabbing at him. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Well,
He
see,
always took offense.
a lot of it was like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, how can you feel like that? Because that's not what I was saying. That's not what I meant. So how can you take it like that?
Right.
And then at other time, it was like, you know what? There's some things I really want to say, but I can't say it because definitely can't take it back. But you ain't gonna understand what I'm saying, and so I can't say it. I told Treat a long time ago. You remember? I said, you know what? God told me I can't say to you what I really want to say to you.
That's what he told me.
You remember saying that?
That's what he told me.
I was like, man, you know what? It's the things like, say this thing get on your nerve, and this thing your spouse might not even know. It get on your nerve, but it ain't so big to where you just got to say
You
something.
gotta let them know. I'm gonna let you know.
I'm trying to be like you, I'm giving you the look.
Look, she talking about she gonna let me know. Yeah, look.
Yeah, let me
Look, look, I give you one. I thought about that. I started laughing the other night.
What?
Later these are Mike bad. The microwave. It'd be some minutes left on the microwave, and it'd be just there.
Oh, that bothers
Drives
you?
me bonkers, dog.
Really?
Let them clear it up.
Yes. And so now look, I already see in my mind she gonna start doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And probably stick her head back out there and see you.
It's funny that you say that because years ago, and you find those things, you find those compromises. You start saying, "I'm not going to argue about these no more. I'm not going to discuss these things no more." Because somebody throw down in the chat also, like if there's something that something small, I don't want nobody to get a divorce.
You want me to tell you what bothers me?
Right. Yes, please.
I don't know. Y'all told me I don't know. You better watch.
What I can't stand for him to do, he'll come home with his dishes that he's had from lunch or something. He'll run the water in them and let the water sit in them in the sink.
When was the last time I did it?
You still do it.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
And I be like, I'm thinking, sitting water that causes roaches and stuff. But just wash it out.
Guess what? At least he sit it and rinse it with water. Ask his friend what he do. He just bring his dishes, still with the top on it. He just throw that Tupperware in there, wait for whoever gonna wash dishes to open that up and deal with that.
Forgive.
Hey, what on it?
Give, forgive, and give in.
Give, forgive, and give in.
Give in. Yeah, because also like with Trisha, I learned years ago. So Trisha, when we moved into the house, I don't think I noticed it when we was in the apartment, because the apartment had a bunch of carpet, and then when we moved into the house had a bunch of carpet. But then the house flooded because the kids flooded the house because we were broke, didn't pay the bill, left the faucet on, and the water flooded in the house. Oh. Yeah, we were broke.
They had turned it. The water was off. They had turned it, and when the water came back on, we were already at work, and so the water was just floating all day while we were at work.
Right. So it flooded the house, so we had to get the carpet removed. But by the grace of God, with our insurance and everything like that, we just got wood floors throughout the house, which was fantastic. We thought it was cool. But what I found out then was that Trisha sweeps, and that's the end of the story. She sweeps. Trisha sweeps everything into a pile and then walks off. Like, it's 19 piles throughout the house. And just walk. And I would go up to the house and be like, you did the hard part.
All you had to do is pick it up.
All you had to do is pick it up. So now
I can't stand like the crumbs and stuff. It bothers me to see stuff on my floor, and so I'll start sweeping. But not piles though. But then once I start sweeping, my ADHD kicks in, and I start doing other things, and so then there's a bunch of piles. And so I have now learned to tell the boys to go sweep up my piles.
They're older now, but before, like,
I still want to sweep so I can get all the nooks and crannies that they miss. But then now y'all pick up the piles. But then when he comes, to be honest, the thought that go in my head is, I'm gonna do it. Then just get the broom and pick up the piles. I did the hard part. You're not sweeping.
That's how I feel about the bowl with the water in it.
Right. you know I'm gonna do it. They say, I'm gonna do it with the bowl. And so that's what.
And I just run dishwater.
Forgive me.
But I've told you about it.
Right. And so, right. And that's what Trish is. Now Trish is like, I'm just sorry, because I got to the point then, like, I would come in from work and just see all these piles, and like, instead of just discussing it, I already know she's gonna do it. So I just go around the house and just sweep up piles real quick, and take me a whole 5 minutes, and then I dump it in the trash.
But I think that what is funny to me, because what's going on in my brain is the snowball effect, right? Yeah. And so I think when we start talking about forgiving, giving in, and what was it? Forgive, give, and give in.
And giving, yeah.
When I think about the things, all the snowball effects that go with my brain, and how much it takes in marriage to do all of them constantly. Because while yes, it's hilarious, because I own it. I will sweep and then I will leave the piles. And so yes, you can kind of go, well, just sweep up the piles, like I said, forgive me, sweep up the piles and move on. And then you could come back and say, it drove me insane. But then in my mind, I'm still going, but if somebody else swept, because I'm not the only person that saw the crumbs on the floor.
Yeah. That's a partnership.
So if someone else would clean, then I would not have piles. So it then begins to go into this snowball effect in my brain, to where I just kind of go, it is what it is. Like, this is where I am. This is what I can do. When you guys were talking about the words, it made me come back to Eris and I talked about, Eris was talking about how in our marriage, our come through was us getting to know each other. Our relationship went so fast in the beginning, and we didn't have enough time. We didn't give ourselves enough time to really get to know each other. We were young and just moving. And so when we think about the words, John said God told him, you can't say that. And Eris was like, see, friend, this is, I don't know. I can't tell y'all that y'all are like on that. Cause his mouth, everybody thinks about Aries and goes, oh.
Wait.
And I have to tell people.
Wait. I am not that jerk like.
Aries got a mouth on him.
Man, I do.
Aries. Like I know me, I'm smart alecky. Aries got a mouth on him. Aries was gonna go for the juggler. And so we had to work through that because one day I had to tell him, and he's the type where he was gonna cut you down with your words, and like he knew it was gonna hurt you. So I'm gonna cut you with it. But then once we talked about this before, with sweeping under the rug. Once he was done. Then he wanna, hey, what are you touching me? What is happening right now? Because I don't like you. I really don't want to be in the same space as you. What is going on? And so we had to have that conversation, and I had to tell him, I said, if I break this plate, you remember us having that conversation? I said, if I break this plate, what is it? He was like, you broke the plate. I said, I can glue it back together, can't I? Yeah. But can you tell that it was broken? Well, yeah, they have cracks. That's what it does. Every time you talk to me like that, you can glue it back together all you like, but the cracks are still there, and then you want me to trust you. Well, now I don't trust you with certain things, and I won't tell you certain things because you will come back and use them against me when you're angry. And so, no, I don't trust. And so it took a long time to start like filling in the holes of the cracks that were there. That took a long time.
It did.
To really start filling those holes in because it wasn't something that he was used to. He wasn't used to it. Where public people may see me, I think the flip-flop was what we discovered. Publicly, I'm a little bit more reckless. Like, I don't really care. I'm a defender if you outside. But in my home, I'm very careful about what I say. In my home, I'm very careful about how I handle the people I love because I know I'm super sensitive. Outwardly, I don't really, how y'all feel is how y'all feel. But because I know I'm super sensitive, I've always been very, very careful about that. And we were very opposite. He was outwardly, he was more careful. Inwardly, and we had this conversation, he was like, I get to trust that I can be free in my home. And I'm like, but wait, your freedom, hold on, your freedom a little willy-nilly right about now, what you doing? But we had very different outlooks on what that looked like and what it meant to be protective of each other and protective of each other's feelings.
Yeah, because when you were saying that, it made me think about it because I don't know if y'all ever experienced or ever done it. I know we talked about it and discussed it. And Trisha had pointed out to me, and I didn't realize it was a big issue. And I didn't know that I did it. She still points it out. I don't think we talk about it that much anymore. Anyway, but I'm about to get there. I'm sorry. But Trisha, because you were talking about Emily, like when we got in the house, I would be like, raw. We got to an argument like real big. And she pointed it out. She was like, hey, you give me all the smoke. When we get to an argument, you give me everything. And the people that actually do you wrong, you give them nothing. And those who frustrated you throughout the day, those who frustrated you throughout the week, and then we get into one argument, or we get into we get one disagreement, right? And I bring all of that back into the house. And so that's something else I want to bring up because Aaliyah pointed out, she was like, she saw me upset one time, and she was like, she never. I saw Aries upset one time. She's like, I never want to see it again. I was like, because I don't know what happens when I get mad, but it must be bad. It must be bad. I don't know what it is. Yeah, you're right. It must be. It must be bad. But she pointed it out to me, and I had to start to figure that out. That if I'm gonna let some of this other stuff go, I have to let go some stuff with Trisha. I got to be more understanding, or I got to at least if we can discuss it. I got to calm down, and I can't bring all that rage and all my frustration toward her because it wasn't fair. She continued to point it out. She's like, hey, because like somebody do something. She's like, what did you say to him? I'm like, nothing. I just let it go. I know.
Ooh, baby, that would make you hot.
Yeah,
it would boil my insides because I'm like, why do you let people say things to you, do things to you, react this way? But yet, the person that has to share this bed with you, the person that shares this life with you, if I roll my eyes too hard, then what you really like, wait, hold on, wait. I love you. But these people don't care nothing about you, or, you know, something that happened at work or whatever the case may be, you just like, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
I'm coming, baby. I'm coming for you out there. Because, again, I don't have to deal with you like that. And I think that in any right, you know, it's still a work in progress because I want to show everybody the love of Christ. But at the same time, I'm just like, this is how I show. Like, right now, this is where I am. Like, this is how I show the love of Christ. This I got to get this right before I can move to the next step. And that was a work in progress.
Well, I can honestly say, I mean, that's never been our relationship as far as like the knockdown, drag outs or anything.
And some people not that way. I don't know how. Good job.
Even with, I mean, like I said, he would say like my pitch would get higher or whatever, but I still didn't feel that was like, you know, we just screaming and hollering at each other because he wasn't going to do that. But, because of course when we first went into it, I was like, you don't put your hands on me, I'm not going to put my hands on you.
Right.
Yeah, because we weren't doing that.
Want to choke her a couple times.
Bruh, Jeff said it so elegantly one day. I chuckled so hard because he was so calm about it. He told Bree, he was looking at it and they were going at it. You know, if y'all know Jeff and Bree, they're just hilarious. They just talk to each other and they love each other so hard, but they just talk to each other. And like they was going back and forth one day or about something they were disagreeing about. He looked at a comment. He said, I want to kick you down some stairs sometimes. And he was like, I don't want you to get hurt, but I really want you. I was like, that's so good. Because you feel that way. You really do. You feel that way. Like, you really want to, you go through those times because it's a growing process. It's growing pains.
Right.
And so you go through those processes of ups and downs. And that's, like, the whole, like, great thing about relationships. That I get so hurt whenever I hear, like, individuals who have been married for, 17 years I'm like, man, you couldn't figure that out. Like, you couldn't work that out because you accomplish so much.
Right.
And there's a constant level of growing, but what happens is that individuals can get selfish. And then it's like, it's all about me. And I got to take care of myself. And that's on both parties. The ones that's being hurt and the one that's like, even the one that's issuing out the hurt. Like, they're looking out for themselves, and it's just we can't find that common ground. We can't, because I believe therapy, because I thought therapy was ridiculous, and then Trisha and I went to therapy. I always tell a story about when we went to therapy and our counselor. A simple question when we started the session. She was like, Eric, Trisha was like sitting here, and I was sitting right here. She said, Eric, look to your right. And I looked to my right, and she said, tell me what Trisha has on. I couldn't tell her. Like, it was crazy. Like, you don't understand how, like, just that question and just her asking that. We hadn't even started talking about the issues yet.
But I think the crazy part was, it made it so apparent because we had gone far out to go meet her. So they lived out in the country, and we had gone far out to meet her. And we had rode together to go far out. And so when you think about that question, when it's just the two of y'all in the car and you can't say anything.
That she has on.
Yeah, they were like, does she have on earrings? I was like, I don't know. What color is the shirt? I was like, I don't know. Is she wearing it? I was like, I don't know. And from that point, so like I said, it hurts me because, like, people need to get to that point, like, and start to admit, and I think that's part of another process of healing that I know I recognize, but some couples might not even recognize, the ones that they're still married and continue on their process. That you start to see yourself, and you start seeing the flaws in yourself, and then begin to work on those flaws, because you're not working on the flaws for yourself. You're working on the flaws to better your spouse's life, because to better their mental health, their strength, their fortitude, and all those type of things.
But I think it's because when you realize, when we start talking about those three, right? That forgive, give in, and forgive. When we start really thinking about that, the whole encompassment of, like, this whole thing of marriage is giving up yourself for the other. And we get stuck, right? Because I do it. I still do it. Where I have to go back and remind myself, you're frustrated about these things. But going back to what we talked about in the part 1, when we said, like, were we specific with God about what we prayed about? No one is going to get 100% of anything. That's just not the way that life is set up. And so do we give grace? Do we give grace for the rest of the percentage that we're not getting? And what is the pendulum swing? I know you and I have had to have that conversation and have had to make agreements in the past to say, I am going, what is the signal? What is the word? What do I tell you when you are not meeting my need and it's gone for a while, right? Because we just needed to be able to bring each other back to go, wait, hold on. Right now, it's too much about you because I'm giving you and you taking you. So then nobody's worried about me or vice versa, right? And so, like, how do we be able to do that? Because if each of us are serving each other, then we both getting what we need.
Right, being good stewards.
Yeah. And so I think that becomes a huge, like, factor, because if you start talking, we've been married 20 plus years, there are things that come across, and I know worldly, it's like, well, people grow apart. I get that, I understand, but because you're not the same person. We're not the same people we were at 22 and 23 years old. Right. But what does that mean that I make the choice to continue to evolve and develop with you? And I think that every time I've made a post about you, I always end it with, this is my choice. I choose you.
That's a good one.
Because at the end of the day, love is waning. Love is waning. I don't care what nobody say. I can be in love with you, and then you can be on my nerves. I don't want anything to ever happen to you. So yes, I love you in that way. But like that, like romantic quote love, that's waning. Right. And so every day it is a choice that regardless of if you're giving me however much percentage, it is my choice to still stay committed to this, and let's talk about whatever else I'm missing, you're missing, so that we continue to go and get home.
Because it's so funny, because of course, like when you first get into relationships, and this something one of the ladies from back home, she used to say, and it would be so funny. I mean, of course you didn't understand it, not until you were older. But she was like, when you first meet him, you can eat him. You can eat him up.
You can eat him up.
Years later, you wish you had.
I like that one.
Because I know for myself too that years into the relationship, I did become selfish. You know what I'm saying? And like you were saying, Trish, because of the things that you pray for, but then you start to look and it's like, but I want this here too, and I want this here too.
I want more.
Right. And so, and when you feel like I'm not getting what I want, but then I had to realize that it wasn't all about me. You know what I'm saying? Because when we went into this, when I met him, I was like, because this was my second marriage, I said, when I married this time, there's no coming out of it. Right. This is it. This is for life.
You stuck, dude.
she told me that too.
I sure did. I was like, so you sure this what you want?
Ride or die, baby. Ride or die.
And you know what? It sounds so good. And I tell the Lord, thank you that because when we say you equally yoked, right? We said the same thing, even as young as we were, baby. But when we were going at it, I think we never had fights that were like our kids felt it, nothing like that. We were like, we've always been great parents, not to show them XYZ. Okay. There was one.
That's that one time.
There was one.
It's the greatest story in Aaron's Trisha life. If we don't remember no stories together, we both remember this one.
There was one. Because I was leaving, and I was done. I was leaving. I'm going to get my kids.
She didn't tell me she was leaving.
And I'm leaving.
Until later.
And no. I'm talking about that night. That night I was leaving.
Oh, you weren't done,
Yeah, that night I was leaving because I'm sick of this. Baby, that boy looked at me and he was like, you better not touch my children. You can go do whatever you gonna do, but you better not go get them out their bed. And I'm looking at him like, they're my kids. You can have this house, I don't care. That was the first time we both like squared off. And like you could see it in each other's eyes.
Like
if you jump, I jump.
And that's it. Like when I tell you the great story about like we laugh about that story so much, it was so bad at that point in time. Like literally, I remember where I was coming out of our room.
No, preacher.
Woo, what? I don't even think I was preaching that time. And so she came out of the house. She was like, I'm going to get. I said, you not going to get these kids. And so we were like, I was like, you can go. She's like, you can go. I'm ready to kid. And I was like, you get out of my face. And blah, blah, blah. And then it got quiet. It was each other's faces. Nobody was talking. We're just looking at each other. Like just.
Because I was just ready.
That's what we were.
I was ready. I just needed you to jump.
That's it. Like if one of us would have sneezed, somebody was getting hurt.
That's it.
It was so bad. I couldn't believe it got that bad.
But when I think about that, right, when you start saying, you know, I could eat them up and all the things, it has to be what's the choice. Because even during that point, when we came down, it took us a while to come back out of that. And then, but even in the choice of, we had already come in this saying we will not be divorced. Like there is nothing we're gonna do. And at that moment,
you didn't even care.
I didn't feel that. At that moment, you're not for me and I'm not for you.
I don't care what we said.
I don't care what we said. And I remember
all that went out the door.
I remember us looking at each other going, and he came back and he said, I don't care if we're gonna be roommates for the next 3 years or so. That's it. We just gonna be roommates then. And for, I know, about a month and a half or so, we were roommates. We slept in the same bed. We slept in the same room. But we were roommates. Because the commitment was, I'm not divorcing you. And I've got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I remember First Lady Manuel, she would always come and tell me, you just gonna, and I used to get so mad at her. Because she would just be like, you just gonna give up your marriage. Don't give it up. Just don't give it up. And I'm looking at her like, do you know your little rotten, spoiled son? Don't tell me don't give it up. What are you talking about? Y'all on his side. What is going on?
You were the enemy.
But, absolutely. But I think what happened in that is it fortified my faith more than I could ever imagine. I had already been through a whole lot as a young woman, as you know, all of the things that God showed himself to me in other things that happened in my life.
Right.
But in that, like, it fortified my faith to the point of now when I'm counseling young women and everything else, I'm always able to tell them about the power of their tongue, the power of the words that they pour and speak into their marriage. Because he was so annoyed. Because by the time we got to that point, I said, okay, God. Okay, God. All right. What I'm going to do? Because I don't want to be here, but I made a commitment. And I started posting scriptures all over the wall. I posted scriptures all over the wall. And I printed them out and I taped them to our bedroom wall. I took some oil and I had everything. Doorposts, windows.
That's old school.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was everywhere.
And so every time we weren't, every time the tears were falling, every time I'm laying in bed, I'm reading these scriptures on the wall. I wrote a confession of faith, and every day to work, because I had about an hour drive to work every day. Every day, I said that confession of faith out loud. I still have that confession of faith on my phone, in my notes. I said it out loud.
You're not reading
it.
Right?
No, I don't read it anymore. I don't need to read it every day, but I said it out loud. What my husband was going to be to me.
Wait a minute.
What he was going to be for me. Who I was going to be as his wife. Every single day. And I remember when I was taking those scriptures off the wall, he had this like sigh of relief and was like, you can take them down. I said, I can take them down because they're true now. Like they live in this space, in place. And I wasn't going to stop until they lived. I had to keep saying it every day. And every day I said it out loud. If we were in an argument, I'd just be tears falling, reading the scriptures out loud. Because that was the only thing that was going to get me through. That was the only thing that was going to get me through. And people did not always know that because they saw us and they saw us with the kids and it was what it was.
Cool, puppy.
But Every day I was gonna read, and I was no. I got really particular about who came in our house. You got to go. If you gonna stir up some mess up in here, you got to go. No, there has to be some peace. And I was really, really like, Lord, give us some peace. And I think that coupled with therapy is what started bringing us out. Because Minister Babin, the Royites.
Yeah, the Royites, big time.
Like those, that's like when I say heaven sent. The two of them helped us start to come out of where we were as young adults.
Right. Cool. So right before we get up out of here, this conversation can go for days, which I really enjoy. But as you were saying, that it's so important for people to start to see and realize that you made a commitment. And start to, as there are times to where that's all that you have. And when you said that, was so great. Is that sometimes you're not seeing eye to eye, you're not focused on, that love, you're not focused on all that thing. But when you make that commitment, what is it? And so when Trish was putting those things on the wall, I had to say, hey, I made a commitment. And so I got to figure out what's going on with my marriage. We have to figure this out and we have to get through it. Not all relationships look the same, as we all know. The Moors are fantastic. We go out on Friday night and we sit with the Moors and we talk about what we're doing right now was like just this is what we do. This is only like 5 minutes compared to the 19 hours that we just.
The only difference is we're not eating.
We're not eating. We're not eating. If the restaurant wasn't so loud, you would be able to see us just sit there, eat, and have these same conversations. Right. Because we're constantly going through things. So find you some friends and some family, somebody that you can talk to. Because the Moors have been, it does help a whole lot. The Moors, like we get into the car and we'll talk about our day, and then we'll discuss. Friend and I found out, throughout the years that we're the exact same. So as soon as we start talking, even though me and dude, we close. When we go on date night, it's like an issue. I have an issue with Trish. I'm like, friend. I don't even talk, because I know if I talk to dude gonna be on Trish's side. I'm gonna say this before we go. John has been in our life, and John has been an advocate for Trisha for so many years. And when we were going through, John knew we were going through. Nobody else really knew, and I think John felt it.
I talked to John.
Oh, that's what it was.
I trusted John.
See, yeah, and and so John started sending me videos and like books and stuff. I was like, I don't want these videos.
I don't even remember that.
I don't want to listen to these sympathetic videos.
You didn't want to talk to nobody.
I didn't want to talk to nobody. And John was sending me all this stuff. So yeah, so when we go out, like friend and I will we'll join teams and we'll talk about it. Then John and then dude in love they'll discuss and then
she must have had him praying.
No, but you want to know what's crazy?
That was back and forth. It's crazy.
I'm gonna tell you what's really crazy. One time, I don't know what I was dealing with or what it was, but one time there might be one of them spats you had with Sister Mary. I went in the office and I told Pop and I told Sister May, I said, y'all, whatever it is, y'all might well get ready because she ain't going nowhere. That was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And they were like, look at me, I'm like, I'm telling you, she ain't going nowhere. She going in. I don't know if Pop remember that, but I told him that.
I am telling you.
And I'm telling you, y'all better figure it out.
My
best man out there.
You need a mic. You need a mic.
But see, the thing about it, and I want people to understand what I'm saying when I say this. In a marriage, it is important to have somebody in life that's not gonna tell you what you always want to hear.
Right. That's so good.
And this part is the most beautiful part. Understand what I'm saying? The most beautiful part of a marriage is when you take them pictures at the wedding.
Yeah.
After that, it's all trying to build and keep it together.
It's like that first high. You're trying to get back to that point. From there on out. You're trying to get back to this beauty right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's that part. But
Yeah.
during that marriage, it's the same thing as when you give your life to God. We even tell you it's going to be peaches and cream when you give your life to God.
Yeah.
That's not how it's going to be in a marriage either. But you're building something.
Yeah.
And I mean, you start enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, they'll start looking at how you live your life, and they'll start asking questions. Of course, they're not going to know everything.
Right.
Went through the
And
good
right. And actually, you cannot share everything with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Because
that-
right, and that's why you have to be led by God and all, and you know what you say. Somebody asks you something, Lord, word my mouth, because they don't need to hear everything, or they don't need to hear the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So it's just one of the things. And like some of the guys I deal with, talk with at work. Hey, I kid you not. I tell them, I say, man, look, life can be so much easier if, I think from a man's standpoint, he's afraid of feeling weak.
Yeah. It is a thing.
When, because back in the day, they used to use that word henpeck. They used to use the word henpeck. Yeah. So it's all right to say, hey, man, shoot, whatever my wife wants, where does she want to go?
Yeah.
I got home today, the trash can was in. I told Tree, thanks for bringing in my trash can. Your trash can, I say that because I feel like that's my job, bringing trash cans, right?
Yeah.
So you got jokers they feel like they ain't been taken care of if their wife don't fix their lunch.
Right.
I fix my own lunch. And I'll never forget, Pop told me one
They make
time.
lunch better.
Pop told me one time, he say, son, I grew up watching certain things with my mom, my dad, and other family members,
Right.
and I vowed I'd never do that to my wife.
Right.
He say, my wife go to work just like I do.
Right.
When I get home, dinner not gonna always be cooked. You know what I'm saying? And she go to work just like I do. I need her to chill out. Well, she might be tired when she come in, just like I am. I need her to rest. Right. I need her to chill out. I need her to stay beautiful. And for them rough time when the money wasn't there, he was like, son, something just as simple as eat. I never get it. He said, get the glass. He got a glass, some kind of little dish of glass, and put some ice cream in it and put it in the refrigerator. And then so the maid got on, he took it out and put the Oreo cookies around it and brought it to her. And she thought that was the best thing in the world. He said, that's all I had. Yeah, it's the little things, man,
It is.
So it's not going to always, everything ain't got to be like, wow. Trees come on right now?
Yeah.
Like right now, we said we were going to get something, but it's nothing for her to get in there and fix an egg sandwich.
Yeah.
As long as she got us some eggs, tomatoes, and cheese, she's straight. Me, I might have cereal, man. Go with the tomato thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just crazy.
You got to try to make things a little bit more simpler in life.
Yeah.
Don't make it so complex all the time.
Real talk. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope you got some lessons out of this. I hope you grow in your relationships, where they are 1 year. I saw you, Aaliyah, whether it's 1 year, whether it's 40 years. Relationships are constantly on the grow, and they can be amazing. It all takes practice. It all takes work. It all takes that commitment. It takes love. It takes so many different things. It takes friends, loved ones around you that's like-minded with you to kind of push you along. So we hope you enjoyed it. This was The Word in Conversation with the couples. It was fantastic. Part 2. It was fantastic. I loved it. Love you, honey. Love you, friends. Okay. May the Lord watch
Love you, baby.
between me and thee.
Between me and thee.
While we're absent.
While we're absent.
One from another.
One from another.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.